So good morning, student. In the last class we have completed about the sampling theorem and quantization. So in this class I will just briefly discuss about the analog to digital converter, because in details we have already discussed in our Google Meet class. So in this class just I have drawn the block diagram of analog to digital converter, where we have, so always remember, in order to convert analog signal to digital signal we need this 4 block diagram, you need this 4 circuit. For example, the first block must be anti-aliasing filter. I have already explained why you need anti-aliasing filter, in order to avoid the aliasing or overlapping of the signal, and this anti-aliasing filter determine the maximum frequency present in the signal. So once you get to know about the maximum frequency, then we will obviously sample that signal with the with a rate that must be greater than equal to twice the message frequency. That is the message frequency means your maximum frequency. So at least we need to maintain this condition that fs must be greater than equal to 2 fm. If fs equal to 2 fm, that condition is the special case, that is known as your Nyquist rate. We have already solved some problem to find how to calculate Nyquist rate. If at all they ask you a question how to find a Nyquist rate, then we need a sampler. What the sampler did? Sampler just convert the continuous time signal to discrete time signal, but the amplitude remains continuous. Amplitude remains continuous. So in order to discretize the amplitude, we need a quantizer. We need a quantizer where we have predefined quantization voltage level. We have predefined quantization voltage level, that is L. How this is related? L is equal to 2 to the power n, where n is the number of encoding bits. N is the number of encoding bits. For example, we have 2 bits. We have 2 bits. Then hence we need to divide the amplitude axis. We need to divide the amplitude axis into 4 level. For example, this is the formula for. So this is step size delta is equal to V peak to peak voltage divided by quantization voltage level. So V peak to peak I have already. So peak to peak you need to find. You need to calculate the analog signal divided by L, and that delta gives you step size. So in order to divide into quantization voltage level, then obviously we have a error arises during quantization. Since we are rounding off the sample voltage to nearest quantization voltage level, there must be some error, and that error is known as quantization error. So as a communication engineer, we need to reduce this quantization error. Obviously we need to reduce the quantization error, then only we will have the actual signal with better clarity, with small distortion. So obviously how to decrease the quantization error, there is one way possible, that is now if I increase the number of bits, number of encoding bits, if I increase the number of encoding bits, then obviously that leads to increase in quantization voltage level. That leads to increase in quantization voltage level. So when the quantization voltage level increases, this quantization error decreases. So obviously I have explained you in your Google Meet class that we have n is equal to 3 bits, n is equal to 2 bits we have taken, and I have explained you how the quantization error. I have formed the table, sample voltage, quantization voltage, then quantization error, that is difference between sample voltage minus quantization voltage, then how we encode it, finally how we encode it. So obviously, but when the number of bits increases, then what will happen? The channel bandwidth requirement will be increases. Why? Because we have studied in PCM that bit rate is equal to n into fs. If the number of bits increases, the bit rate increases. Bit rates, the unit for bit rate is bps, bits per second. Bits per second is the unit for this RB. So obviously if you increase the number of bits, then it will, obviously you need higher channel bandwidth, but obviously the major thing is here the quantization error decreases. That's why the accuracy of converting an analog signal to digital signal and again converting back to digital to analog will be improved. So this is the block diagram for your analog to digital converter. So you have to, if at all in your examination they will ask you draw the block diagram for analog to digital converter and explain each block. Then you have to explain like anti-aliasing, what is anti-aliasing filter, I have already explained you. Then sampler and sampling theorem. Then you have to explain what is a quantizer, and then we have to explain what is a encoder. So we have to first draw this block diagram, then we have to explain each block. So from now onwards, we are going to I am going to explain you about the digital signal and how we are going to represent that digital signal, various method of representation of digital signal that we will see. So now from now onwards, we are going to dealing with the discrete time signals. So first of all, we need to, before we are going to analyze the various types of discrete time signals, first we need to see how to represent a discrete time signal, how to represent discrete time signal mathematically and graphically, how to represent a discrete time signal mathematically and graphically. There are various ways to represent a discrete time signal. So there are various ways, means there are 4 ways. So first method is your graphical representation, then we are functional representation, then you have tabular representation, and the last one is your sequence representation. We will see one by one how to represent the signal. Student, you must pay attention to this, because from now onwards we are going to use alternatively these 4 representation of discrete time signal. So first of all, a discrete time signal means I just want to plot a graph between xn and n. So here I have already explained you, this n denotes the time, n denotes the discrete time, please note it down, where n denotes the discrete time and xn represents the height or amplitude of the signal, amplitude of signal. Xn represents the amplitude of signal and n is the discrete time. The question is, what must be this n? In analog signal we have t, small t denoting the time, here n denoting the discrete time. This n value can be, this n is a integer, this n is a, always remember this n is a integer, this n is integer. And what is the range? The range is -infinity to +infinity. That means this can be -7, +7, -6, -5, +10, +12. This can be anything, but it cannot be 1.5, 2.5, 2.57. This cannot be a fractional value. This n is a integer. So now onwards we are going to dealing with, in discrete time signal we are dealing with that. Whenever I am writing this small n, you must understand this small n denotes the time, that is your discrete time, and it takes only integer value, it takes only integer value. And this xn representing the amplitude at that particular time instant. What is the sample amplitude, what is the height of the sample, what is the value of the sample at that particular sampling instant, at that certain point. For example, for n is equal to 0, what is the value of x of 0? For n is equal to 1, what is the value of x of 1? And that represents the height or amplitude of the discrete time signal. So let us see one by one. First one is your graphical representation. So we will see one by one the representation of the discrete time signal. The first, let us consider a signal xn. Let us consider a signal xn. Xn, the moment you see xn, that means you must imagine that is a discrete time signal, because here the function x is depending on one independent variable. Here this is a one dimensional discrete time signal. Why one dimensional? Because here the dependent variable x, here the dependent variable of the function x depends on the time n, that is only one independent variable. And with what are the value given, that this function x, when the time is -1, the value of the function is 1. When the time is 0, the value of the function is 2. When the time is 1, the value of the function is 2. And when the time is 2, the value of the function is 0.5. So obviously I have considered here how many number of samples? It depends on n, how many n you have taken. This is obviously a finite sample. Finite sample means here we can count the number of sample. This is a example of finite discrete time signal. So how many samples I have taken? I am taking n is equal to -1, n is equal to 0, n is equal to 1 and n is equal to 2. So, we have only 4 samples, and for that time instant only we have some amplitude value. So, now it is time to represent that graphically. So, how to plot the graph? So, always your x axis is your independent axis. So, independent, here the time is independent. So, I have taken this as n, this is your discrete time, this is your discrete time, and this is xn, this is xn. This is xn. Then first I have to plot the time. So, time, what are the time available? -1, 0, 1 and 2. Now I am pointing this is as -1, then we have 0, then we have 1, then we have 2. I have discretized the time axis, that is why I am taking only 4 samples. That is, here we have here, this is the example of finite discrete time signal. So, and then I have to divide the amplitude axis. Suppose this is 1, this height is 1, this height is 2, this height is 1, this height is 2, because amplitude is defined with respect to your height. So, this voltage level is 1 and this voltage level is 2. So, first of all you have to see x of -1, that is when n is equal to -1, n is equal to -1, what is the value of xn? The value of xn is 1. So, how to plot this? So, this is the representation of the value of x of -1 is equal to 1. Then what is the value of x of 0? At time n is equal to 0, the amplitude is 2. So, I have to circle like this, and then I have to draw like this. So, this is the sample at time t is equal to 0. Then at time n is equal to 1, what is the height? What is the amplitude? That is 2 again, that is 2 again. Then at x of 2 is equal to 0.5. So, 0.5, suppose this is your 0.5. So, this height will be 0.5. So, this is the graphical representation of a discrete time signal, This is the graphical representation. So, we have here amplitude is 0.5, this amplitude is obviously 0.5, amplitude is 1, amplitude is 2. So, we have 3 amplitude level, and we have, so if I ask you how many samples are there, so do not count this amplitude level. Whenever I ask you how many number of samples in the discrete time signal, you have to just count the here how many time I have taken. I have taken -1, 0, 1, 2. So, I have 4 samples. We have here 4 number of samples, and this is the graphical representation of your discrete time signal. So, next we will see the same signal. I want to represent that in your functional representation. So, let us see that how to represent the signal in functional representation. So, next representation is your functional representation. Functional. In your exam, they will give you any of the representation, and you have to perform some operation that you will see, but any of the representation they will give you in your examination. So, kindly understand how we represent the signal. So, here how to represent functional representation. So, obviously we have to define the function. So, here function is x of n, here the function is x of n. So, x of n is equal to when it is 1, x of n is equal to 1 when just like your mathematical when, or we can write here that for n is equal to -1, and x of n is 2 for time is 0, x of 1 is 2, that means here I have taken, here I am taking the amplitude 1, 2, 2 for again n is equal to 1. you can directly write here x of n is equal to 2 for n is equal to 0 or comma 1, 0 comma 1, or you can again write like this, x of n is equal to 2, individually you can write for n is equal to 0 and for n is equal to 1. Then we have x of n is equal to 0.5 for n is equal to 2 and remaining 0 otherwise. X of n is 0 otherwise, that means if anything is not given, that means we have to take it as 0, we have to take it as 0. So for any other remaining n value, excluding this 4 time, that is 1, 0, 1 and 2, minus 1, 0, 1 and 2, excluding these 4 times, remaining any n value, remaining for any n value, we have the amplitude. We will show like that, that amplitude is 0, otherwise. So this is the second representation. This representation is known as your functional representation. So if at all they will give you functional representation, we can represent that in graphically. Obviously here we can directly see that for time is equal to -1, from this also we can plot that graph. Xn, always we have to take xn or function fn, the dependent variable in y-axis, and the independent variable here is only your time. In this entire syllabus we will deal with one dimensional signal only. In the entire syllabus we will deal with one dimensional signal. In a subject digital image processing, we will deal with 2-dimensional or multi-dimensional signal. But in digital signal processing, we will deal with only one dimensional signal, and the independent variable always here the discrete time n, and this n is always an integer. It can never be a fractional value, and this n always takes value from -infinity to +infinity, but only integer. So this is your functional representation. The next we will see your tabular representation. How to represent this same signal and various representation. We are representing the same signal. This is your actual given signal, and we have different types of representation in discrete time signal. First one we have studied the graphical, which is very important. Then we have studied this functional representation, and then we have the third one is your tabular representation. So how to represent this in a table? This will be represented like this. We have to represent a table where n denoting the time and xn. So here first we have to write the independent value. Independent value here is -1, 0, then we have no comma, -1, 0, then we have 1, and then we have 2. This is the possible for n value. And for -1, xn value is 1. For 0, when time is 0, xn is 2. When time is 1, xn value is again 2. When time is 2, xn value is again 0.5, and this is very simple representation, that is your tabular representation. But mostly we are using graphical representation. Functional representation, in some cases we will see we represent the signal in functional representation. Tabular representation rarely used in one or two scenario, that is in convolution case we will see that tabular convolution method. In that case we will study about this tabular representation. Then we have the fourth case, how to represent that. In the fourth or last one is your sequence representation. Now this is the last representation, that is your sequence representation. This is very important. Fourth one is your sequence representation. representation. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. We are going to use mostly this representation, and in your examination they will ask you this question on this representation. So you have to understand this sequence representation very, very carefully. The graphical and the sequence, which is very, very important, and you have to use this alternatively. You have to use this alternatively. So sequence representation. So in sequence representation, first of all, we have to write like this: xn is equal to, first we have to a curly bracket representation. So we have to first write the amplitude. What are the amplitude? 1, then we have amplitude 2, then we have amplitude again 2, and then we have amplitude 0.5. So I have just written down, I have just write down the amplitude. What are they? That is 1, 2, 2 and then 0.5. Under bracket, this is not amplitude, this is x of n. X of n means this n stands for discrete time. So n minus 1, 0, 1, 2, they are all time, they are all time value. But this 1, 2, 2 and 0.5, these are all amplitude value, these are all amplitude value. So how to then, for which value we are representing, how to find? Then first we have to see origin. Origin is obviously is 0. So we have to mark that origin, and this origin is represented with a arrow mark. This origin is represented with a arrow mark, and we have to write here as n is equal to 0. N is equal to 0. This is a arrow mark pointing the origin. So from here we can obviously n is equal to, for n is equal to 0, we have the value is 2. N is equal to 0, the amplitude value is 2. When we are moving the pointer towards left of origin, that indicates we are moving towards negative x-axis. For example, in graph, suppose this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is minus 1, this is minus 2. So you are here. So if you move towards the left, we have n is equal to minus 1, minus 2. If you move the cursor towards the, if you move this arrow mark towards right, then we will have n is equal to 1, plus 1, plus 2. That means moving towards the right hand side, we will have n is equal to 1, 2, n is equal to, here this is for n is equal to 1, this is for n is equal to 2, and this is for n is equal to minus 1. So this is very, very easy representation, but we need to understand how we are pointing. So first we have to write the amplitude, then we have to point it that where is the origin. If you find the origin and if you move towards the left side, then that represent n is equal to minus 1, and then if you move towards the right side sample, then that represent n is equal to plus 1, plus 2, like that. So once again, one more example on this, because this is very, very crucial. So write it down and then giving one more example, how to represent the signal in sequence form. So xn is equal to, so here for example 1, 0, again 2, then we have minus 1, then 0, then 3. So the moment we have seen like this, so how many samples are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the moment I place the cursor here, the cursor point always denotes you the origin. They will not write here that n is equal to 0 here. They just mark arrow mark. They just put a arrow mark here, and that arrow mark indicates, that pointer indicates the origin. That is n is equal to 0. And for here we can denote that for x of 0, what is the value? The value is 2. Origin, the amplitude value is 2. For then we have moving, suppose towards left, we have minus 1, minus 2. So x of minus 1, the value is 0. X of minus 1 value is 0. Then x of minus 2, the value is 1. X of minus 2, the amplitude value is 1. Then we have this amplitude. So you have x of 1, which is equal to minus 1. Then you have x of 2, which is equal to 0. Then we have x of, at time 3, the amplitude is also 3. So this is how we represent a sequence. So always remember this arrow mark denotes the origin. So if you are moving towards the left, that indicates n value -1 -2. If you are moving the pointer towards the right, that indicates the n value +1 +2 +3 like that. So here always we write the amplitude in sequence form. Always write the amplitude. We are what is hidden, what is implicitly represent? Implicitly present is your time. So time is hidden here. So how to find then for what value the amplitude exists? They will give you this pointer. So this pointer indicates the origin. If you are moving towards the left, that will give you n value -1 -2. If you are moving towards the right, because always I have already told you many times that n will takes only integer value. Integer means it can be -1 -2 -3, or it can be 0 1 2 3 4 like that. It can be negative value, it can be positive value, but it cannot be a fractional value. It cannot be fractional, but the amplitude can be fractional. In the previous example you have seen x of t is equal to 0.5. The amplitude can be anything, that can be a fractional value or can be an integer, but the time is always discrete. That's why I am putting this name is discrete time signal. Amplitude here is can take any value, but your time is continuous. Time is continuous. Sorry, the time is always takes integer value. So thank you. In the next class we will study about the elementary signal, and then after we will study about the various types of signal: complex exponential signal, periodic signal, deterministic signal, random signal. The various types of signal we will discuss. Thereafter we will study about the system. Then we will perform combinedly signals and system we will study in the latter chapter. So thank you.